Welcome to my Breakthrough podcast. Today I have a special guest on, Chase Hughes. He's an expert. He was actually on my podcast before, and today we're going to have a candid conversation that you will greatly benefit from. Now, if you don't know who Chase Hughes is, well, he's the world's #1 leading expert in behavior and profiling and influence, brainwashing expert, the #1, literally brainwashing expert for the government, the U.S. government. He's amazing. I love him, and you'll see exactly why. So how you doing, Chase?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let me ask you a quick question. Just to make things like super spicy right off the beginning, what is your #1 go-to pickup line?
Pickup line?
Yep.
I'll tell you something I used to do.
Okay.
So I lived in Hawaii. I was stationed in Pearl Harbor, so there was a lot of people on the beach. And back in this is like flip phone days. So I would program my friend's phone with my number, but the contact name would be called Answer Me. And then I would go by some girls that are laying out on the beach and go by the beach towel, and I'd just casually set my friend's phone down beside them without them seeing it. Then I would go off creepily and call the phone, and they would look at each other like, oh, it's not my phone, is it your phone? So then they would answer the phone and like look around and be like, hello? And I'm like, yeah, I saw you spend a lot of time on electronics, so I thought this is how you like to meet people. So that was my favorite.
That's funny. Okay. And, let's rewind a second. What got you into behavior? But more than that, right? A lot of people know you as a behavior expert, but what was the reason you got so good at this? And by the way, guys, I would consider myself top 5 in the world. I'm probably one of the best hypnotists in the world. And I'm telling you, I've never met someone as competent as Chase. There are people who say they're good, but they can't do anything. Like literally they can't do shit. You ask them to go do it in person, they can't do it, right? I'll go do it, even if I'm not as good, let's just say, or I wasn't as good, I'll still go do it, and I'll get the result. Chase is one of the few people I have seen that can actually do it in person. I'll tell you a quick story afterwards, but back to the question, what got you into this?
I think I was about 19 years old. I had already started looking at body language because I wanted to tell, when a girl liked me.
You read like a book, or what'd you do? You just looking at other people?
Yeah, so I started with this book called Body Language by the guy who invented the word body language.
Okay.
His name is Julius Fast. And I was reading this, and then my best friend is killed in a terror attack. And he and I had gone to boot camp and training together. And then I'm reading these reports afterwards. It was like the intelligence training failed. They couldn't persuade people. They couldn't produce contacts in the region. So I thought they need some of this training. So I started ramping up. And just my sole determination was to retrain our intelligence operatives so that we could grab more stuff from other people. We can get more data, more information, and so that it doesn't happen again. And that was one of the big catalysts. But I think I had maybe a little social anxiety growing up as a kid. And the more I could see insecurities and fears and things in other people, especially once I got really good at body language, and you can see way behind the mask that people are wearing, that made me realize it's not just me who's screwed up. Everyone's totally screwed up. We're all suffering. Everybody's insecure. So it made people human. So it was a lot easier to talk to people. So it made it addictive.
To make it clear to others who are listening to this, when you say insecure, what do you mean? What is an insecurity?
An insecurity is a belief or a worry that has the form of either a prediction, a negative prediction about what's going to happen, limiting self-talk, comparisons with other people, or judgment. So those would be insecurities. So if you just look at the word secure, that means safe, right? Mm-hmm. So it's unsafe. So these are the things that make me feel unsafe around other people. So that's how I would describe an insecurity.
And what would you say the opposite of insecurity would look like?
Security. It would look like confidence, I think. And a person with a mindset to make them confident. And the difference between that and a person who went on the internet and read 31 quick tips to have more confident body language or some kind of article online. And they're like, oh, I need to stand up straight. I need to move a little bit slower. I need to look people in the eye. that doesn't make you confident. It's an attempt to trick someone into thinking you're confident.
Yeah, to perceiving you as confident.
Right, which it doesn't work. You know, we've been reading nonverbal behavior unconsciously for this many years. We've been using language like that many years. So all the stuff that we're sending nonverbally goes to the other person's unconscious no matter what. So that's what I would say as far as confidence goes. How would you define it?
I think confidence is feeling comfortable, like you said, secure, right? I say, because a lot of people don't know what it feels like, and I used to be very insecure. And I think that when I became confident, I got very comfortable being myself, expressing myself, doing things that I wanted to do, right? Like I remember I was 15, and every time I saw a girl that I thought was pretty, or I wanted to go approach someone and talk to someone, I didn't have confidence. I didn't feel comfortable to go do that. What are they going to think? What are people going to think of me?
Yeah.
What happens if they say no? And then as I became more comfortable, I didn't care. I just do whatever I want. Like I literally don't care what anyone thinks. I go on stage. Some people like me. Some people don't like me. I speak. You know, I believe it's more fun to be comfortable than it is to sit there worrying about what everyone else thinks. I just don't. Doesn't help me.
Yeah.
Doesn't serve me.
And that's one of the things, like, when I deal with clients, I tell them, like, you need to feel like nothing matters and everyone likes you no matter what. And if they don't like you, then there's a problem with that person, not with you.
That's how I see it.
And then they say, oh, well, that's delusional. I'm like, your insecurities are already delusions. You're just picking delusions on the other side. You're already delusional.
Yeah, they're confident that they're not confident.
Yeah.
You know, I say this often. I trick my entire seminar. I'll go, hey, who here is a 10 out of 10 in confidence? Raise your hand. No one raised their hand. I said, so the whole room is a 10 out of 10 in confidence that they're not a 10 out of 10 in confidence? And like, doesn't make any sense, does it? You know, and I'll give you another example. If I go up to someone and I try to pitch them or I sell them or someone doesn't like me, in my mind, it's never, oh, I did something wrong. It's not me. It's what's wrong with this person? Oh, they're jealous, or they're not, like, if I go up to a girl and she rejects me, my immediate delusion, even if it's not true, this is the way my brain has now distorted things. I'll go, oh, she must be, she can't believe it's real. Like, it's too good for her, or she just isn't confident enough to do it, or she doesn't believe that I'm being sincere. It's never, oh, she just didn't like me.
Right.
Which is what people who are confident think. Which, look, is obviously extreme delusion. But
yeah.
I think it serves you. I always tell people, a mindset's not built to be right. A mindset is built to help you feel better and achieve the outcomes that you want.
That's it. And people are like, oh, well, I'm not successful today. I've failed in the past. I was like, why would you believe that? And they're like, it's true. Like, who cares about it? Why does truth have to play into this? Is it helpful or not? Those are the only questions that you need to be asking.
It's so funny you say this, because when we're influencing people, if you box yourself into reality, right? Like, I always use the word framing. I know you don't like this word, but you know. Good. But if you go into the frame that, hey, you and I are sitting here, and I'm trying to influence. Here we go. If you go into the frame that you and I are sitting here, and I try to influence you a certain way, and I'm now bound by the fact that we're sitting and having a conversation, I'm probably not going to be very successful at influencing you. But if I now am able to walk in there, I've never met you before, and I go, holy crap, do you remember me? Nice seeing you. What's going on, man? You know, immediately I broke the ice. I'm like, I'm just kidding. We've never met, but you honestly look like a great guy. Where are you from? I've already broken the ice. Your brain already is kind of confused. Hey, does this guy know me? Does he not know me? It's a completely different frame. It's a different reality rather than, oh, that's some stranger that just approached me. Right. What does he want from me? You know, and I think people limit themselves even internally when they're trying to solve problems by saying, well, this is reality. Reality is I've never had a client before. I haven't gotten the success I want. I haven't made the money before. But if that's your reality, that will stay your reality. The second, reality doesn't shift, I think, here first. I think reality shifts in here, and then it changes out here because your behavior changes.
Yeah, it's like when you read a self-help book or something. Like the first major gift I bought for myself ever was the original first book to ever come off the printing press of Think and Grow Rich, signed edition.
You got the first one?
First one, yeah.
Really?
And I bought this for myself. But I've noticed, I've read the book already. Like, I didn't buy it to read. I bought it to put on my desk. But I'd read this book so many times. But one thing you notice, like, if you grow as a human being, you come back to that book, it's a different book.
Yes.
Every page has a different meaning because you've developed yourself, and you're like, you understand everything at a different perspective. So just like this book being a totally different book because of growth, we start growing in here, and everything out here is completely different. So I have a completely different world around me. So everything changes here. So I'm seeing things differently. I'm interpreting facial expressions and behavior differently. So a person who has like a mental problem with depression or anxiety, a normal blank facial expression like in a grocery store, they're like 8 times more likely to see that facial expression as suspicious or angry, just because they have something in their brain. So they're experiencing a completely different world than other people. And that's what I'm always saying, like, just choose the world that you want to experience. See it through the eyes of being confident. And I think what holds people back from making the huge leap to becoming confident is confidence is the action, right? So there's the action of confidence, and then there's the feeling. But you have to do the action first. And in between the action and feeling, there's an uncomfortable gap. And that gap is what makes people go, screw this, I'm going to go back. Because you're not feeling it yet.
Yep.
And there's a fear, what if someone yells at me? What if I'm shamed publicly? What if something happens? What if I get outcast from a society or something bad happens? So the fear of that, I think, keeps a lot of people. And most confident people don't pretend like they know what's coming next. Like if you're walking up to a person in a mall or doing hypnosis, street hypnosis or something, you don't know confidently what the outcome is. You're confident that you're going to enjoy it. And you're confident that, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be positive. Something positive is going to happen. So it's just a belief in a generalized positive outcome in what we're doing.
I think a massive thing too, now that we have a globe here, I think people who are less confident get hyper-focused on details. And I think that the more confident you get, the more big picture it is, right? And on that exact topic, if I walk up to someone and I go to hypnotize them, I don't know how it's going to go. I actually don't know how good of a subject they'll be. I don't necessarily know how they're going to comply. I don't know how they're going to feel about the situation. I don't know. But I do focus on the fact that it'll probably work out. Like I see it being pretty positive.
Yeah.
I see them having a positive reaction. And I also, the big detail is over time, if it's not them, the next person, the next 10 people, someone will have a very positive reaction and I'll get the outcome that I expect. Whether it's this person, the next person, or the following person. So there's this abundance because I'm able to see that the world is not a lonely place. There's so many people. There's so many opportunities.
Yeah. And
when you talk about the gap between feeling confident and how people feel versus the action, I think that that gap is the most important part of increasing your confidence, right? Confidence equals comfort. So you have to step into that uncomfort and get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
And realize that I'm actually not going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Because our brain, think about like the response to somebody who's scared to do something that they might want to do that's confident, like go talk to a stranger. For some people, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so when they're going up to do it, their heart rate increases, the blood pressure increases, the blood starts leaving the stomach, and they get that feeling in their belly. And that's our body's response to being almost attacked by an animal, or an animal coming towards you, a predator. So we're the only creatures that can do psychogenic stress, imagining a scenario and then freaking out about it.
Really?
Yeah. So what's really true is like you're kind of doing things that are building evidence. So your brain needs to say, okay, that happened before and I didn't get hurt. Okay, it happened several times and I didn't get hurt. So it's like every time you push yourself into that gap, into the confidence gap, there's a book on that. I wish I could remember the author. But every time we go into that gap, there's a little permission slip, like, okay, you can try this one more time. And then we say, okay, I got a little hall pass to go out and step that far again, and then next time I'm going to go a little further. And I think that's where most people fail. They're like, oh, I just wasn't born confident. I don't have the genes for that, or I don't have permission. And I think that's a huge part of it, is just giving yourself permission to do it.
I noticed another thing with confident individuals. The communication is very direct. I'll give you an example. If I'm going to go sell someone something and I'm not confident, I'll talk about it. I'll beat around the bush. I'll be like, yeah, you know what? Like the other day, I was signing up for something, and I just asked the guy, I'm like, so what's the price? And he goes, well, we'll get to that at the end. Just let me keep going. I'm like, listen, man, I'm on board. I'm going to sign up. Just tell me the price. I have to go. It's like it's $250. And I'm like, over $250, the guy would not tell me the price, which is crazy. And I'm like, here, listen, man, I'll give you $300 and let's get it done. Like, I just don't have time to be on this call. And I realize, even in dating, someone who's confident will be very direct. Let's go out Friday. Someone who's not confident whether they want to go out with you, not confident themselves, regardless of their lack of confidence where it is, they might say something like, yeah, I'll let you know, I'm not sure, we'll see.
Yeah.
All this ambiguous language, indirect. And I think that if you really want to have an effective way of communicating or leading people, you have to be direct. You have to be confident. And that's what people trust. People trust the transparency of the communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humans follow certainty.
Yeah.
And that all of those words, like maybe, all of those little couching words that we use. Mm-hmm. Maybe, I think so, the all of those words are ways that we communicate uncertainty. Mm-hmm. And I think the number one trait, not in just confidence by itself, but the number one trait that human beings will follow almost automatically in any group or any one-on-one is certainty. Certainty wins the frame, certainty wins the mindset, certainty wins, so that there's not a battle of that person's frame over your frames. They're not like fighting each other. It's just the person says, oh, that person's certain. I'm going to pay a little more attention. And I think our society as a whole, here's the biggest issue, I think, with confidence. We think we have to have a lifetime of confidence to be confident as an adult. So like I would have had to succeed in middle school, and everyone would have had to respect me. And I would have had to have been confident for a long time to act like 10 times my confidence tomorrow. There's no way I could do 10 times my confidence because I haven't done it before. So humans are hardwired to that so much that if I'm not confident and I go out tomorrow and do something supremely confident, even though it's way out of character for me and I'm with a new person, we're so hardwired to think you have to have a lifetime before you of doing that, they will automatically assume that I've been that way my whole life. So I'm getting social proof, I'm getting confirmation from hundreds of other people, even if I'm in a one-on-one, because that person's brain is hardwired to think no one acts like that unless they've been doing this for years and everyone treats them with respect and everyone listens to them.
Yep.
So you're getting buy-in from 1,000 people in a one-on-one conversation just because of that little flaw in human nature.
When I was 16, I wrote a book. I never published it. And I talked about how social dynamics, right? It was all about social dynamics. And I talked about how there are 3 steps to creating a valuable relationship, a relationship that lasts. The first one is what we do when we meet someone is we assess if they're a threat or not. If we determine they're safe, the second thing I became aware of is that we assess their value. Like, what's their value to me? Is this someone I want to reproduce with? Is this someone that I'm not that interested in? Is this someone that, is going to be my friend for long-term business, whatever? The more value you deem them to have, then once they see your value,
right,
all of a sudden you now have a stronger relationship. The more value you offer one another, the stronger the relationship. And confidence is self-value. So I think instead of having them question whether or not you have the status, I think just by carrying the confidence, they now can see the value. And like, for example, with you, right? You were the most confident person in regards to behavior. You're the most confident person on profiling. And these are things I've been looking up, right? I remember I used to watch Darren Brown, and I used to think it was real. Everything was real, not mentalism. And I was obsessed. I'm like, how do I model this? You're the real life Darren Brown. I mean, just today, for those of you guys who don't know, we're eating at a restaurant, and he looks, and I ask him, I said, what do you make of this person? And he gave me an entire breakdown of this person and the next person, and everything makes perfect sense. He was able to tell me that this person's house is like unclean, that they're probably lazy. He was able to tell me that this person is extremely sweet. This person had probably just lost their father.
Sexual deviant that we saw.
Yeah, sexual deviant. Yeah. Crazy details just from observing and understanding people. And it's a different lens to see things through, right? A lot of people might be like, hey, that's impossible to do. And I think that a lot of people might see those things in the lens of a limiting belief. Like, what's the limiting belief around money? What's the limiting belief around other things? So I think there's 2 areas that most people don't really talk to you about, and I want to really hammer it in. One of them would be profiling, right? I think profiling is so fascinating. I know to you it's just a normal thing. You don't even think about it. But to be able to see someone, to look at them and in an instant know a lot about them, right? Know who they are, how they are, and you're so accurate, it's almost insane. It's almost like you know them before you know them. What would you say what is profiling, first of all, and how did you start getting into that?
I think profiling is a broad term. So it's not just body language. So body language is just a tiny, tiny piece of understanding behavior. It's fun, but body language is a party trick, a bar trick, unless you know how to respond to it and you know how to get the depth of what you're seeing. But I would say profiling, what we're doing today especially, is understanding I'm seeing things. Everything that I'm looking at is a piece of evidence, or we could consider it all symptoms. So the fingernails that I see, the way someone wears their clothes, their shoes are tied a certain way, or I see somebody with a shoelace that's really dirty towards the end, like they don't tie their shoes and they walk around on their shoelaces on a regular basis. So everything that I'm seeing is a piece of evidence or a symptom of something. So like, for instance, if I see a person's shoes and they're worn down on one direction and the other heel isn't worn down in one direction, I know they have knee problems or hip problems on their left side. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like medical diagnosis. So I'm seeing all of these symptoms, and I know that points to this likely behavior or this likely lifestyle trait that's causing that symptom to occur. That's a long definition, but
it makes perfect sense. I mean, if I were to simplify that for the audience, you pretty much look at them. You look at how they dress, how they walk, how they carry themselves, their hair, last time they showered. Would you tell me if this is an accurate way of profiling, right? Let's say I hypothesize something about someone, or I see someone, I see that they're wearing a white shirt, right, and under the white shirt they have yellow stains under their shirt, and then I look and they see they have oily skin and then oily hair. I then can assume that they're probably not that hygienic, or they haven't showered in a few days, and then I can try and look at other things. For example, I look at their teeth. Maybe their teeth has plaque on it, or they're yellow. I could see that they look dirtier. There's dirt on things, right, whatever. Yeah. And now I can assume that maybe this person doesn't prioritize hygiene, and they don't look homeless because you could see that they have some kind of expensive shoe on. So they're probably not homeless, but maybe they have money because they have an expensive watch on, but they're just not hygienic or don't care about themselves for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And
it's everything. Like a person that you could see has tightened their belt. Like you can see where they usually have their belt because there's a little line in it, and then it's like 2 notches tighter. You can tell that they recently lost weight, and that's a party trick at that point. It's just a party trick. Mm-hmm. But now I see that this person's recently lost weight, and they have actually started doing their hair. Their hair is actually done up, which means I know they're more likely to buy a motivational product. They're more likely to listen to me if I'm saying something that goes along those lines of bettering yourself, instead of like, here's how to fit into a group, or here's how to do whatever. So I'm starting to understand this person's made a lifestyle change that's made them more susceptible to this type of psychology. So that's where we're seeing a symptom, and then maybe what that symptom is, and then the top, we're seeing now their psychology is susceptible to influence or persuasion based on this data.
They might be into health or fitness now. And then you can look at the variable that might have caused that, like a breakup, or maybe they went to the doctor. Doctor said, hey, you got to lose weight or you're going to die, or whatever. Right? Yeah. There could be symptoms that make sense. So when you got into this, what was the reason you started profiling? Like, why? What made you say, hey, I'm going to learn this? Because I think it's so fascinating. That's why I'm asking you.
Well, I think in the beginning it was to understand girls. But I think at the end of the day, I think the reason that reality TV is so popular, watching like The Bachelor or all this other crap that's on TV now, I think everyone has a little bit of a voyeur inside of them. Mm-hmm. I want to see what goes on when apparently no one's looking. I want to see the candid side of human beings. And that's what behavior profiling really does for you. Like if somebody took my course, you're going to get to see way behind the curtain. And I think that's what it was for me, that I kind of became maybe a psychological voyeur, where I wanted to see the hidden behaviors, the hidden desires, and all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes. Because a person's going to tell you all kinds of stuff, but they're going to show you way more than they ever tell you.
That's right. Because you can't hide it. It's
Yeah.
you. No, it's so fascinating. I remember the first time we hung out, and you could see this in our last podcast. You know, we're driving 2 minutes, and you're like, that person's bulimic, because you could see the fingernail on this person who just jogged by for 3 seconds, right? You know, you could see the fingernail on their right index finger is eroded. There's, you know, teeth marks in between their knuckles. And I'm like, this guy's crazy. You know, I'm like, this is so cool. That was a year ago.
It is fun.
It is. Well, since then, obviously, I've gotten a lot better at that. And, you know, I actually went through your course, and obviously you're one of my good friends, so you've taught me as well. But it's crazy how much progress you can make in a year and how much you could learn. At first, when I first learned it, I thought it was one of the hardest things in the world. Then I realized if you practice like anything, it starts to click. It becomes a pattern. It starts to become unconscious.
Really fast.
Yeah.
I think it clicks faster than like learning in med school and stuff, because there's an ROI right away. So I could teach you one profiling trick, and you go out to a restaurant, and you're like, holy shit, I can actually use this. So then you get a little dopamine hit, and your brain says, oh, that felt good. I'm going to do that again. So you kind of get addicted to doing it. So it helps you to learn it faster, especially when you're applying it, because you're seeing it work right away. Because it's a reward pathway in the brain.
I mean, I'm going to ask. Remember what I asked you? Remember what you brought up in the kitchen earlier about someone who was here? Can I bring that up?
Who was it?
The cycle, about their cycle.
Yeah.
So I have an employee, she works for me, and he goes, she's ovulating. And I go, how the fuck do you know she's ovulating? And he goes, well, her lips are more red. She did her hair today. She's dressed a certain way, and she really cares about how she looks, right? Because she's obviously, when you're ovulating, you're trying to attract a mate. You want to get pregnant. And it made perfect sense, because when I walked in the room, her entire body language changed, her pupils dilated, everything became totally different. And I just thought it was so fascinating that you noticed that.
Wearing light-colored pants yesterday also added to that. That I know it's not likely one part of the month if there's light.
Yeah, because it's not red. Yeah, this makes sense. yeah, but it's just so, it's crazy because there's so many people you've obviously socialized with, interacted with, paid attention to, studied. Right? Like there's so much going on that most people are oblivious to. Like there's so much data just from the words people talk about. Just where they're looking alone, how much data that gives, right? Yeah. So I think that's insane. I know when I'm on stage, I'm very, very in tune with the audience, right? Like I'll be paying attention. I could see everything someone's doing. Like I'll notice if everyone in the room's with me. I'll notice if one person's not with me. I'll notice if I said something and I see someone get offended in the audience, right? Even if I have a room of 300 people, I could see before they even are aware that they got offended by what I said. I can correct it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's interesting what this level of awareness allows you to do. And I think anyone can tap into it. But confidence is the catalyst that allows you to see the world in this way. It's like turning on a supercomputer. You become quicker, more intelligent. You don't doubt yourself. Your brain processes things. You're using a lot less capital on your insecurity and a lot more capital on the world outside.
So as we start wrapping this thing up, I want to understand your view on the difference and maybe the chronological order between mindset and confidence. Mm-hmm. And what are the similarities of those two? How are they different? What comes first, chicken or egg kind of question? What do you think about those?
Well, I think intent is the first thing that comes in everything. Intent as in setting a goal, setting an outcome that you want. I think the brain always has a goal. There's always an intention. And you have grown up and learned a certain type of behavior, a certain set of patterns that your brain says, this is how you have succeeded, this is how you survived, this is how you're going to be. And most people grow up not feeling that confident. Most people in the world aren't confident. So they might grow up feeling a little insecure, uncertain. And I think if you want to be more confident, the first thing is a decision. I'm going to be more confident. Now, most people cheat. They go take alcohol. They go drink alcohol. They go do drugs. Yeah. And they have this massive reward. Oh, look, I drank. Now I socialized. And I got laid. I made some friends. I got invited to another party tomorrow. Oh, I did this psychedelic. Before I worked on my confidence. Now, I think people do things with different intention, but I think if the intention is to get social and to gain social confidence, I think they're actually crippling themselves because now they're taking a crutch that they don't need. So I think the first thing is intent. The second thing is, how do you become more confident? Well, I think your mindset will improve with your confidence level. So they actually are exactly, they're yin and yang. So confidence improves as your mindset improves. Your mindset's about how big you can think. It's about how strong my goals are, my discipline, my self-control. And as your confidence improves, so do all those characteristics in someone's mind.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's either or. I think it's once you set the intent, the first step is the intent, and then you put yourself in the uncomfortable situation. Your mind is forced to expand. Your mind is forced to become more resourceful. And in that uncomfort where you're forced to grow, confidence grows. And I think that's where they're connected. So if you find someone who's very confident, you can assume that their mindset's probably very developed.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that mindset, to start getting closer to confidence, is identifying conscious limiting beliefs that are holding you back and then unconscious limiting beliefs. Mm-hmm. So like I have some things where like I'm conscious of it. Somebody might say, well, I don't really believe I'm capable of that, or I don't deserve that. Mm-hmm. But then the underlying beliefs is if I become rich, I'm going to be a douchebag. If I make tons of money, that means I scammed people. Mm. If I'm selling a product, that means I'm sleazy. If I'm charging people lots of money, then I'm not being fair. I'm not being a good person. So just hundreds of those that we're really, really not aware of. Just kind of doing an autopsy on your own of all the stuff that I've been through, and what are some of the beliefs that have held me back in the past. Like if you are at a traffic light and you look over and some Lamborghini pulls up, and your first response is to look over and go, must be a douchebag. So that automatically means in my brain, if I start making more money, if I get really successful, I will become a douchebag. Yep. So the lower part of your brain, where that thing is living without your permission, that belief is living there. That belief is like, oh no, that's not going to happen. I'm going to sabotage the shit out of your marketing campaign or out of this new business that you started. Yep. But I'm doing it to keep you safe. And it's not a saboteur. It's your friend. It says, oh, Marcel does not want to be a douchebag. And being a douchebag is being rich. Those are the same thing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to keep Marcel from being a douchebag, or whoever it is. Yeah. So it's trying to keep you to where you want to be in your belief system. So I think a lot of those limiting beliefs are not just little beliefs. They're little steering wheels that are controlling our behavior and modifying how we interact with the world without us knowing about it.
So I never really went through my limiting beliefs. What I did, and I think this could be helpful to others, and I think this might even be a shortcut, if someone's aware enough of their emotions to do this, if you change your emotions, because all those beliefs are linked to probably the same emotional state. If anything, the more beliefs that pop up, the more reinforced that emotion starts to feel. So the stronger that emotion will be. Yeah. If you could just change your state somehow, right? You change your focus to one thing that you like. It just has to be one. You just have to shift getting into a different car. Then you can gain momentum in that state. And in that emotion now, you have to, the longer you live there, the more familiar you get, right? You'll build up the neural pathways start to grow. You'll get myelination, right? All these things with that behavior. And I think it'll happen so much so as you start to get rewarded, right? As you make progress and you're seeing things change, that's when people have the change. And I notice people sabotage when two things happen. When they leave the routine, because they haven't lived in that emotion long enough. So they now leave the routine and their brain defaults to the old pattern. Or two, when they're doing something over and over again and they're not noticing a visible or tangible reward. Yeah. So there's the delayed gratification and they're not getting the instant gratification. And I think that's also when people sabotage. So I think being able to focus on the outcome. What's your opinion?
That's the ultimate recipe for success. If you look at every successful person, you're going to have way different reasons that people are successful. You look at Bill Clinton versus Elon Musk. They're successful for very different reasons, very different traits, and they have very different confidence. Mm-hmm. Bill Clinton's confidence is way through the roof. Elon Musk is not that much. He's not outgoing and is not as social as a lot of these people. Yes. So you can dissect all these things of here's the number one problem before I say the number one solution. Number one problem is that people are, and I invented this phrase, but they're symptom focused and cause blind. So they're blind to the actual cause. So I'm going to go watch a YouTube right now, or I'm going to talk how to be successful. I'll type it in on YouTube. And the first probably 3 or 4 results are going to be the 7 morning routines of the super rich. All right. So what else? I manage those morning routines. And then what do rich people drive? Oh, they drive a McLaren. They drive a Lamborghini. Okay, so I'm going to go figure out a way to buy one of those. And rich people belong to this country club. I'm going to do all these things. All of those are symptoms of being rich. They're not the cause of being rich or being successful. So people say, oh, these are the symptoms. If you fake a symptom of a sickness, that does not give you the sickness. If you fake a symptom of confidence, like good posture or speaking loudly, that does not give you confidence. So people try on these symptoms. Like, I want to be a Navy SEAL. That doesn't just consist of going out and buying good body armor and a good gun. So those are the symptoms of being a Navy SEAL, right? And being healthy or something. So we do the same thing. And I think the number one thing that makes success a byproduct, makes confidence a byproduct, is learning to level up your ability to delay gratification. I think that is the number one thing that all these people have in common, is delaying gratification for investments, for finances. Their friends are going out partying, they stay home. They get the work done to get it done.
I'll even give a reframe on that. Don't delay gratification. Reframe the gratification. So you know that your life, like there's a saying, right? It goes, work hard now, have fun later. Have fun now, work hard later. I believe that, right? All my friends go to these parties. They do all these things. And ironically, I'm actually losing a lot of my friends. Like most of my friends are older now. They're in their 30s or their 40s. They're not 23. They're not my age, right? Because a lot of them just go do their own thing. They're partying. And I can't relate to that right now. And I think what allows me to delay the gratification is two things. One, I constantly see the outcome that I want. So the outcome gives me gratification. I'm almost feeling high all the time. So I'm delusionally there. And then now I've created enough fun. Like if I go out and I decide today I'm going to go do something, I will do it. I have the freedom to do it. Whereas they might plan a trip for 2-3 weeks and they have a job. They can't necessarily do it if they save up the money. I can actually just spontaneously right now.
Tomorrow,
like tonight, hey, you want to go Bahamas? I will literally go. And I've done that so many times. And I think that is, whenever I feel myself starting to dip, I will do that to remind myself, hey, it's not that you've delayed gratification. You have it. You know, if I need to go into the well to drink more water because I'm thirsty, I'll remind myself the well is full. You know, but I want to fill it. I want to create an ocean, not a well.
And you love what you do. I see you speak on stage, and you're on fire. You don't even remember. Like you have amnesia.
I have amnesia.
You're so excited when you get up there and you're watching the reactions of people getting these moments of change. So you're not working hard. You're working fun. That's how I might say that. So like I enjoy what I'm doing, and the harder I do it, that's like if I'm, if I really like playing basketball, and I'm working really hard at it, I'm just working fun. I'm not working hard.
Yeah, that's it. I think you have to have fun. Most people pick a job they hate. And if you pick a job you hate, fine. But work less hours on the job, find a way to delegate it, have people do it for you, and then take the fun aspects of the job. The job, if you hate it, should at least make you a lot of money to where you can go have fun.
But first, I would say make it a challenge to enjoy that job.
Yeah.
So if I want to learn to control myself, control my behavior, I'm going to find a way to make this shit enjoyable.
Yeah.
Even if I don't like my boss, I'm going to turn that into an experiment. I'm going to do something to where I'm enjoying myself and I'm actually practicing skills for the job that I want in the future. So I'm acting as if I've got that job now. I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to do everything I'm supposed to do. I'm going to enjoy it as if I'm doing the job in the future. And I think that gets you closer because you're working fun still.
I also think that there's a quality that I've seen in people who become incredible in any area. Michael Jordan says he's the best. Kobe Bryant says he's the best. Tom Brady believes he's the best. Ronaldo thinks he's the best. Messi thinks he's the best, right? These are just athletes. Lewis Hamilton says he's the best driver of all time, right? He's Formula One, like amazing Formula One. And you look at all the other qualities, they say they're the best. I have that feeling. You have that feeling of, hey, I need to be the best. Now, I think there's a problem a lot of people have. They're like, I need to be the best, so they'll be a perfectionist, but they'll never put their work out there because they're scared of failing. I think that if you want to be the best and you actually put the work out there and you're able to face that fear of judgment, the lack of confidence, you actually have more potential. To anyone who's listening to this, who's a perfectionist, if you did the work, you are more likely to have massive success than the person who just is incompetent and just does the work anyways.
Yeah.
And I think that is a massive message for me. I always used to think people are so much better than me. Like I was like, oh wow, their skill is so much better than me. They must have been doing this for 40 years. And I was assuming all these people are constantly improving. I'm hungry for knowledge. I cannot stand being complacent. Like if I'm not improving every day or studying, I can't stand it. And I notice you're still improving. Every day you write something. You send me a new graph, a new chart every day. Hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, you never stop. And I think that's why you and I get along so well.
And I always assumed experts, like even a psychologist, after college, that's not the end. They keep digging into the research and learning. That's not the case. They're done. Most of these people who get to the expert level or feel like they're experts, they stop. And it's so crazy. Like, if you want to be the best, then be the best. And when it comes down to confidence, as we're finishing up right here, I want to say the biggest mistake I've ever seen when people are learning confidence, they confuse confidence with status, dominance, and hierarchy. So in order for me to be confident, I have to be more confident than that guy. It has nothing to do with those other people. It has zero to do with other people. There's no hierarchy to confidence. Confidence is all inside of you.
I think that is the hierarchy.
Right. So like you could go up and talk to the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and you would not feel smaller or bigger because you are not worried about status. You're just comfortable.
When you have status, I think like the confidence, right? Like a king. Does a king worry that he's not a bigger king or a better king? He's just a king. Yeah. Or a queen, And another thing I would say about that is I call it true confidence. The trick to do, this is the trick I have. If someone were to model my confidence, because I really believe I'm one of the most confident people in the world. I've yet to see a 23-year-old that's as confident as me. It doesn't exist. I've never met someone who could do what I do confident-wise, especially my age. I borrow confidence. And what I borrow confidence from is my future self. I'm so confident I'm going to be in all these places. I see billionaires. I see people who are on their way to being trillionaires. I'm like, if money is where confidence comes from, I'll make the money. If success or fame is where it comes from, I'll eventually do it.
It's not.
I know. But my brain sees, hey, there's unlimited opportunity. I have my whole life to create that if I want to create that. Yeah. I know I can create what I want. Therefore, I have the confidence of anyone else. They're not better. They're not bigger. We're the same. Human being's a human being. I love what I'm capable of. I love what I do. And if I'm not, I can't wait to find people that are better than I am at things. I hate seeing that I'm better than others in skill because it doesn't, that's why I love hanging out with you, because I'm like, damn, thank God I'm learning, Yeah.
And that's what I think separates people who are happy and not happy. Because you've got people with extreme net worth and no self-worth. I think self-worth is more important than net worth. Yeah. Like somebody who says, no, I don't care about all this confidence bullshit. I just want a Ferrari. Well, you're a loser.
Yeah.
You are a loser. Because that's your mentality. That's going to be, once a Ferrari, you have it for a month and it starts becoming normal, then something else is going to come up. And then I'm not going to feel confident unless I have that thing. So I have to be in the right clothing. I have to look a certain way. I have to have a certain car to feel confident. That's not confidence. And you've got it without it. You could have done this with a pink tutu on.
I've been this way since I was 15, when I had no friends, no money, no social skills, no popularity, and I was the same. I'm exactly the same as I was when I was 15. I'm 23 now. And I'll tell you this, I live in LA. I'm around a lot of people who fake it. The exact archetype of what you just said. Someone who goes and makes this money and acts better than everyone, has this arrogance or narcissism, and acts like they're better than everyone else because they've made it. Losers. And when they're around someone who's really confident, they posture, but someone can't posture against me because I'm not posturing. It's not fake. It's not a balloon. You can't pop what I have. There's depth. It's real.
Yeah, and that's what I would call competitive confidence versus collaborative confidence. And yours is collaborative confidence because you make other people feel confident.
Yeah, and that's true confidence. I think good leaders lift others up, right? They bring people up. And when they challenge me, I see these people all the time. I get challenged. I go to parties or events. People challenge my confidence all the time. And you see them collapse. And then they don't look good, or they'll try and start a fight, or they'll try and yell and be more dramatic. And I'm indifferent to it. I don't really care. It doesn't trigger me, right? Like, if you were fat and I said you're fat, it'll bother you the same way you said, hey, if you're going to fail and you fail, it'll bother you. So I think being confident in the outcome you want That's all your brain's going to see. You're telling your brain what to notice when you have confidence. The question is, what am I confident in? I think everyone's confident. But are they confident in things that produce the outcomes they want?
Right.
And most people are primed to get the outcomes they don't want. They're very successful at failing.
Yeah, very true.
You know, so
this was great.
Yeah, I'm going to link your channel below so people can subscribe. And if you guys want to learn more about profiling, Chase has a course called 6MX. I highly recommend it. It's probably one of the best profiling course in the world. You should click the link below, get it. And yeah, if you like Chase's content, subscribe to his channel, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks.